Ladies and gentlemen, we are now level 60, which means we have flying! Yes, finally! Now, to battle! Away! What's going on, guys? This is the one-man army, Mr. Easy for Life, coming back at you guys once again with another WoW video. More specifically, another episode of the 7.3.5 Journey to Expert Healing. Sorry, what the hell am I trying to say? Hopefully you enjoyed that beginning. I know I was excited when I first got flying, and yeah, there we go. I had a little bit of fun with it. Anyway, new episode. Once again, this is probably gonna be a unprofessional commentary. One of the last commentaries I'm probably gonna do, because the next episode is gonna be an edit. But either way, here we are, episode 4, Journey to Expert Healing, and we are now into the Burning Crusade as well as the Wrath Dungeons. Once again, continuing that method that I did from 24 to 60, is that I pretty much just, well, spam dungeons. That's all I did, because obviously Q times on the healers. Once again, 2 to 5 minutes, very OP indeed. So yeah, that's pretty much what I did. So kind of similar to the last episode, pretty much what you're seeing here on screen is a montage of the boss encounters from the Burning Crusade as well as the Wrath of the Lich King dungeons that I did in order to get to level 60 to 70, to get that 60 to 70 bracket. So yeah, a few other things I wanted to talk about though, but for the most part, I didn't actually do all of the, so you know, not really similar to the last episode. In this one, obviously you could see it's not a 2-hour long episode. Woo, yeah, no 2 hours. But I didn't do all the Burning Crusade as well as all the Wrath dungeons. I pretty much just did the dungeons that the random queue put me into to get me to 60 to 70. So you're not necessarily seeing all the encounters of the bosses for the TBC and the Wrath dungeons, but it's whatever, it's fine. There's a few other things I wanted to talk about anyway, so not really going into too much detail. And once again, you're seeing the highlights of when I got to the next level, so as you can see. But yeah, man, anyway, so wanted to talk about like my experiences, my leveling experiences in the obviously the 7.3.5 leveling patch with the in terms of in the TBC and Wrath dungeons. So overall, my thoughts is actually a bit more positive than it was with the with these dungeons than it was with the vanilla dungeons. I started to notice that once I got into this bracket, I was starting to see a lot more players that were dedicated to the classes they were playing, meaning that they knew how to play their class. I remember in the last episode, I talked about things like people not really reading up on their skills, and a lot of the new players pretty much just they don't really know they don't know how to play their classes, and it was just overall a hard time to deal with them when it came to the vanilla dungeons. It would pretty much just prolong the battles, and these dungeon runs were taking a hell of a lot longer than it should have. With the TBC and Wrath dungeons, a little bit of much of a higher bracket, I didn't really experience that. In fact, I went through some really quality dungeoning, if I may say, I guess. I ran into so many awesome players during my experience, a lot of good tanks, as well as just overall a lot of good DPS in general. And that's how it should be. That's really how it should be. It shouldn't be, you know, when you're running these dungeons and you're a healer, it shouldn't come to the point where a healer is out DPSing the tank or even one of the DPSs. You know, that's how it kind of was with me in the last bracket, the 24 to 60 brackets. Is that I was out DPSing a few of the actual players who signed up to be DPS, which, like I said, that's not how it should be. But yeah, so running into a lot of good players, and you know, obviously there's always going to be new players. There's always going to be the casual players that are in whatever leveling bracket. But like I said, anything past the vanilla bracket, you tend to find more players that are a lot more experienced players, I guess I'm trying to say here, without rambling on too much. Yeah, I ran into a lot of good players, and I think it's going to be like that for the rest of the journey, which is I'm looking forward to. Some of the other things that I noticed when running these dungeons is that the mechanics of the TBC and the Wrath Dungeons are changing a lot. As you can see in this clip right here, I never really had to deal with this mechanic before when at pre-patch when we used to face roll this boss, so I didn't know that she actually did that, and as well as froze us like that. So that was quite a new experience for me, and overall it's just a lot different. It's a lot more different now, running into these newer well, they're not really new dungeons, but they're obviously newer than the old content, old world dungeons. So yeah, but overall it's I feel like it's a breath of fresh air. I really do feel like that, because I never ran into mechanics like this in the vanilla dungeon, so learning these new mechanics, these fresh new mechanics, in terms of like leveling up, going through the dungeons properly, is definitely a new experience for me, which is great. I was actually looking forward to each boss encounter. I was thinking to myself, I remember, we would be running up to the bosses, and I would be saying, okay, alright, so this is a new boss, well, not really a new boss, but this is a boss that I haven't encountered yet. I don't know the mechanics. Obviously, I'm not reading the dungeon journal because I'm trying to level up in an efficient, timely manner. So everything is a surprise to me. And in this boss in particular, in the Nexus right here, you'll see that he actually hits pretty damn hard. He was killing the tank. He was taking down the HP of the tank, and as well as he did this knockup move. Well, this one I was kind of familiar with because the Hydra in Zul'Farrak kind of does the same thing too. But he was taking down, he was like just eating away chunks of our HP from the tank, and I wasn't prepared for that. I didn't know that he did that. So it was quite a, it was a new experience for me, and overall it made me think. It's making me think a lot more strategically as to how I should plan out my abilities, which is another topic that I wanted to talk about. Is that I feel I'm starting to get a lot more comfortable with the spec, which is good. In the beginning, I wasn't so confident, I guess I could say, but I wasn't, for the most part, I wasn't that comfortable with this spec either. So playing into these, getting into these higher up dungeons with these new mechanics, or mechanics that I haven't adapted to yet, was definitely something that I needed in terms of like training, if you would say. So yeah, getting into these new mechanics, I was like I said, I was like strategically thinking, okay, so if he doesn't knock a move again, I'm gonna go ahead and do it maybe 5 seconds before he does that. Try to time it out with my bestow faith, or whenever we hit the ground, do a light of dawn, right, to get some HP back for everyone, because obviously it's an AoE move. And, just small stuff like that, real simple shit like that. And I'm starting to, like I said, I'm starting to feel a lot more comfortable with this spec. I'm starting to understand more of the overall mechanics of the Holy Paladin, as well as like, because it's a very reactive healer. Obviously, it's not some kind of Holy Priest where I could lay down the AoE circle and have everybody standing there and my healing job is pretty much done. No, it's not like that at all. They're a spot healer, a damn good tank healer, but for the most part they are a very, very reactive healer. So yeah, but overall, after getting through the 60 to 70 bracket, like I said, I'm starting to get a lot more comfortable, and I think the rest of the journey is going to be like that as well once we get to the 80s to 90s when I get back into dungeoning. Because as you know, I stated in the last episode that 70 to 80, I'm going to Karazhan. And in the next episode, we're going to be doing like a sick montage Karazhan edit. I'm preparing for you guys. So like I said, this is going to be one of the last raw commentaries that I do for a while. The next one's going to be an edit. And then maybe I'll do a commentary for the mob dungeoning, or you may just get my live reactions. It depends what I tend to do. You'll see what happens when the episode comes out. That's gonna be in 2 episodes. So you got this episode, episode 4, episode 5 is gonna be the Karazhan, episode 6 is probably gonna be the 80s to 90s bracket, and so on and so forth. So whatever I decide to do. I'll be honest with you though, man. It's a lot easier for me to do this kind of style of editing. meaning like it's easier for me to just play the game, record my footage, and focus on what I have to do, and just come in here, you know, turn on the microphone and just start commentating my thoughts and opinions on my experiences. Oh shit, I'm looking at the footage here. Oh my goodness, you got to see this clip right here. I remember this boss. What the hell is this place? A Violet Hold, right? And this thing, I don't know. This thing was pulsating like a motherfucker, and it wouldn't stop. Look at this. Look at this. Everybody was dying, and you know, Holy Pally's not very good in AoE. So look at this. Look at this. I had to think to myself. I remember doing this fight. I was like, okay, do I let the tank die or do I keep up the DPS? If I keep up the DPS, then the tank's probably gonna die, and we're probably gonna wipe. So I had to sacrifice a few DPS. As you can see, two DPS are down, but I'm struggling to keep that tank alive. I think what we should have done was, I think the mechanics is you're supposed to kill that pulsating thing because it had an HP bar. I don't know if it was immune to stuff, but I tried to stun it too. I used my E. I have my stun key binded to my E, and I think I tried to stun it, but nothing happened. So I think what you're supposed to do, and you know, some of you veterans who know what to do, it can probably let me know if you're watching what we're supposed to do there. But I think we're supposed to kill that eye thing, that pulsating orb thing. But nonetheless, we got it done by a sliver. It was like a sliver. Like, I was one shot. If I didn't put down the consecration, you know, once again, Holy Pally coming in with the clutch with the 4 damage utility moves that I have. The consecration once again comes in with the clutch and finishes off the boss, because the boss was one shot, I was one shot. And I remember before this attempt happened, we actually wiped on him the first time. So that what you just saw there was the second attempt in Violet Hold that we had to take care of that guy. And then for the same reason, the motherfucking the orb thing that does the AoE pulse, it killed us. I wasn't prepared for that, and I remember trying to think of ways to counteract the next time we fought him. And you know, it was a shit show. It was definitely a shit show, but as you saw that we got it done. I was one shot though, but you know, I owe that fight to the consecration move, that ability. That thing came in with the clutch, because I was trying to keep myself alive while do damage at the same time. But nonetheless, like I said, got it done. And here we are with the final boss of the Violet Hold. And as you can see right there, got it done. That boss was actually relatively easy. That was an easy boss compared to the second boss. And here we go. I did a little bit of what the hell was this place called? Old Hillsbrad or something? I think it is. And it's the one where you help Thrall out. And yeah. This dungeon is actually a little bit interesting to me, because I always like the fact that you change your race into something different. I haven't done this dungeon. I actually don't do this dungeon a lot. In fact, there was 2 dungeons. I remember there was 2 dungeons that I was trying to avoid when doing this. Was one of them. It was Hillsbrad, and I was trying to avoid the Oculus from from Wrath, and that's because I don't have a good sense of direction in both dungeons. You know, they're both fairly long dungeons, and I mean, obviously, you know, if you did it a lot back in the day, you know what to do. But I didn't do it a lot back in the day. Okay, so I never adapted to the routes. Anyway, yeah. So, but thankfully, when we did this, we had a good tank, and he knew what he was trying to do. So thank goodness. You know. Once again, coming back to the whole, you run into a lot more experienced players in the higher leveling brackets, and that's exactly what I did. So that's fucking awesome. But yeah, no, like I said just a little bit ago, I always find it interesting whenever you do this. You always change it to a different race, right? So in this case, if you're a Adrenaline, I changed into the dwarf or something. I'm not sure how that is. Like, I'm not sure if you change your race depending on your class, or you change your race depending on like your actual race. So like if you're a human, you would be like a gnome or something. I don't know. I really don't know. But yeah, no, it's pretty interesting to me. I thought that was a pretty cool aesthetic look, and I'm sure there's a lot of lore to it. I haven't read the lore on Hillsbrad Foothills, but nonetheless, it's a fun dungeon. It's definitely a fun dungeon if you know what you're doing. Obviously, you know, if you're running around a little bit like a chicken with his head cut off, then you know it's gonna be long, it's gonna be drawn out, and it's gonna suck. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. As you can see, I didn't really plan too much out for this episode. I was just trying to figure out my thoughts, but I think you get the gist of what I'm trying to say. You know, overall, I'm starting to get more comfortable with Holy. I'm starting to get better, and it's gonna be it's gonna get even better as we go through the levels once again. I think at 75 I get my next talent, and I did some research. I think I'm gonna go ahead and use the I forget what it's called, but it's the one. It's like a 1.5 minute cooldown. Talent ability, and it gives you a haste buff as well as like a holy shock buff. It's either it decreases the holy shock cooldown, I think, when you use it, or it increases the holy shock healing. I forget. It's been a few days since I've read it, so I'm gonna use that. And then once I finish up in Karazhan at level 80, I'm gonna get my wings back, my Avenging Wrath, and it's gonna be great. That is gonna be awesome. Fuck yes, dude. Avenging Wrath is always the best wrath. So yeah, that's gonna be good, and I think that's definitely gonna help us out once we get into the mob dungeons. I remember there is a few dungeons like in, oh shit, I can't even remember now. What is that one dungeon in Mists of Pandaria? It's the one where you go in there and you have to fight against the clans. There's like 4 different clans. It's like one of the first boss encounters, and then you walk underneath the catacombs looking area. And then you make your way, you get on an elevator, and you make your way up to the throne room, and you kill the final boss there. And he's got all these weapons, right? He's got all, I forget what the hell it's called. I used to run that a lot. Because, you know, when Mob was around the time Mists of Pandaria was out, I remember grinding, like, heroic dungeons every day. Every day was grinding heroic dungeons in Mists of Pandaria, because I had to get those Valor points. Were they Valor points, or were they Justice points? I think they were Justice points. No, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it was the Justice points because I was trying to get heirlooms, and this is before you could buy heirlooms from the dwarf in Ironforge, right? Or Undercity if you're Horde. This is before then, and you had to grind out these points, and the only way I knew how to do that was by running the dungeons. So I would run the dungeons every single day. You do the heroics once a day before you go on lockout. And then I would just buy my heirlooms like that. So I remember grinding out a lot of the dungeons, you know, Stormstar Brewery, Jade Serpent, the Rising Sun one, and yeah. And anyway, getting back on track, just talking about that one dungeon that I was just speaking about. I don't know the name. I can't remember the name, but yeah, you go up to the throne room, and then he's got all these weapons, right? You kill the 4 lions, and you pull the boss, and he's got all these fucking weapons, and it does a shit ton of damage. A lot of people, I remember when I was leveling up my shaman, before pre 7.3.5, even though we could face roll him, if you got hit by those weapons, you were practically, depending on your class. I was playing Enhancement Shaman, so very up and close and personal, but at the same time, definitely not as tanky as like a Pally or a Warrior. So I remember I would get like 2-shotted every time I'd get hit by those weapons. So that's going to be interesting, because from there, since the fact that we're not going to be able to face roll that boss, we're going to see, you know, and I know there's like a correct positioning for the boss, but you know, not every tank knows that. So once we head over there for the first time, we're really going to see what players know where to stand and who doesn't know where to stand, and why just watch them get blown away by the floating weapons, the killing weapons or whatever. So that's going to be interesting. Anyhow. Oh, I'm looking at the footage. Yeah, this dungeon right here, I forget what this is called. It's like the Stone Halls or something like that in Wrath. I obviously, you could tell I'm not very good with names, but this was an interesting dungeon. I like this dungeon. I like this one a lot. The one boss that we were just fighting before this one is the one, you know, the Valkyrie looking lady, and she puts down the black pits, the black portal things, and you stand in there and you're dying. I kind of enjoyed that mechanic. That was an interesting mechanic. I had to stop doing DPS because that thing was killing me so much. Very interesting. I really enjoyed this this dungeon right here, the one you're watching right now. And let's see here. This one was pretty cool too. This dungeon, I remember, it was actually kind of a cakewalk, to be honest with you. This boss, he didn't really do much mechanics, even though we couldn't face roll him. As you can see, he's not really doing much damage. The one that actually did do a lot of damage is the next boss coming up, the next encounter, and that's the T-Rex. And I remember he's the one that actually fears you. He puts you in a fear, and you obviously cannot avoid getting feared, I think. No, you can. Well, you can dispel it, but when he fears everybody, that's the thing. He can fear everybody, and he did a shit ton of damage to the tank while we were running. or while he was feared. So that boss was actually a little bit sketchy, and the positioning was definitely off indeed, just because of that mechanic. But once again, you know, new mechanics. I was very I was focusing a lot. Let's just say that. Yeah, I remember I was focusing a hell of a lot when doing that encounter. Oh no, maybe it's not this boss. It's the next one after this one. Yeah. This boss right here, she didn't really do much. She kind of did a lot of she targeted a lot of the random DPSs, of course, and of course the tank. So as you can see, she's doing a lot of she actually did a lot of damage, and it caused me you know, putting like a debuff, some kind of debuff. So I always had this dispel. Excuse me. As you can see, I'm dispelling a whole lot, as best as I can, and she's just eating away everyone's HP, man. It's a lot of magic damage right there. Once again, trying to contribute as best as I can, but if I have to stop DPSing, then I will do that. But for the most part, I try to contribute. As you can see, oh, this is the boss right here. Yeah, this is the one right here. He's trying to, you'll see it. He does the fear, and that kind of fucked me up just a little bit. Well, he definitely fucked up the tank, that's for sure. Once again, trying to contribute that damage, put down the consecration, but we start off with the judgment so we can put that debuff on them, right, into a Crusader strike. There it is right there. That mechanic right there. That fucked us up. Look how much HP the tank is losing out on. I can't even get in range. He had to take out his elephant. He had to take out the Elec just to get back into range from where I was, because he knew that if he was running away, he wasn't in the right position, he wasn't gonna get any heals. And that's the thing. That is definitely the thing right there with positioning. You know, you always gotta be positioned damn near the healer, or, you know, in my case especially, right? Damn near a fucking holy paladin. You gotta be right next to him to get the best of their heals. Now I think there's gonna be a time when I come to what the hell is that ability called? I think it's well, it's an ability where, like, the proximity, I think it's Aura Mastery. No, not Aura Mastery. Mastery Lightbringer, something like that. It's where the proximity of your targets will increase your healing by a certain percentage. Once we get to that bracket, positioning is definitely going to be another factor that comes into play, even more so than it is now, because unless I can counter it with a lot of versatility, because I think the versatility for Holy Paladins actually increases the amount of overall healing and damage that I deal, and Mastery just increases my the healing that I do from the proximity of where I'm at. So, well, you know what, that's very situational. See, if I had a lot of versatility, I probably wouldn't give a damn about my positioning, because I'm just going to do a hell of a lot of healing anyway because of the versatility. However, if I had a lot of mastery, it would be the complete opposite. Positioning becomes very strategic, because the more mastery I have, the better my heals are going to be, the closer I am to my targets. Now, that's one mechanic that it's kind of iffy for me. Like, I like it. I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to force Holy Paladins on the front lines, right? Because we are the one and only frontline healer, okay? And by doing that, by giving us the Master Lightbringer passive ability, as well as the way our mastery is set up, it definitely forces us to be you know, stay up front, and you don't have that option, you don't have that choice to sit back like a holy priest or a mistweaver monk or a resto shaman, you know, the other healers in general. You get what I'm saying, right? So that's going to be an interesting mechanic, and I'm definitely going to have to try and think about positions in every fight, every encounter. I'm going to have to think about where I'm going to be standing, how close I'm going to be with the tank and whatnot. That's not going to be too hard for me. I've played melee classes pretty much my entire career, so yeah. Positioning up, you know, front lines and up close, that's not going to be too much of an issue for me. But what I will try to do is I will try to get a lot of versatility. Now, obviously, for endgame, that's going to be the ideal way of dealing with the endgame in Holy Paladin is to, you know, get sets that focus on mastery and versatility, because it's very situational. I believe, from what I'm seeing, is people are saying that the more mastery the mastery set is definitely beneficial in, like, Mythic Plus, right? The 5-man dungeons, because it's you and just 4 other people So, and in most times, you're all about, I don't know, maybe anywhere from 10 or less yards away from each other. So, basically, the point is you're always going to be near each other, especially to the tank. I could see why mastery, therefore the mastery thing comes into play a lot, and you're going to be healing double for what you would have, just because of your positioning, your proximity. But when it comes to the raids, because, and that's another thing I don't really hear a lot of people talking about, is that whenever you get into raids, depending on your encounter, the area of where everyone is could be really spread out, right? You know that the battle arenas or the environments of each raid encounter differs, and in most times they're huge. These are really big battlefield playing fields, to house these 25 players or whatever. So you're not always gonna be up and close with everyone, especially if you got the range and whatnot. And yeah, like comparing, like as you could see from this footage, the arena in this fight is very small. But if you take into consideration, like compared to the arena in, I'm just saying arena as a placeholder. Obviously, it'd be like the battle stage or whatever. Yeah, the stage for this fight is very small. But if you look at the stage for like the Sargeras's hounds in Antorus, it's huge. It's widely spread apart. And I think in that encounter, I would have to use a lot of versatility just to counter that the mastery proximity thing, because I'm not always gonna be in, right up close towards everyone, especially some groups who separate both bosses, right? They do the separation thing. Okay, the best thing to do there is obviously stand in the middle between, you got the boss on the left, boss on the right, whatever dog. And yeah, the best thing to do is just to have a lot of versatility, because like even though you're standing right in the middle, they're still very far apart. So the mastery thing isn't gonna work at all. But anyway, you kind of get the point. You kind of get the gist of what I'm trying to say. And, either way, that's what I'm going to try and do. That's what I'm definitely going to try and do. Is try to get the mastery, try to get a lot of versatility, make different sets for different parts. Is very situational, right? If I'm in Mapla, then I use a lot of mastery. Versatility is mostly just always going to be used for raids and whatnot. So, yeah. Anyway, we'll see how that goes. Looking at the footage here, we're actually coming close to the end of the video, and I wanted to say thank you to those of you guys who made it this far. Definitely a hardcore crew definitely a hardcore crew, and yeah, I really appreciate your viewership. Like I said before, this isn't just for my fun, but it's also for your viewing pleasure and listening pleasure as well. So yeah, thank you for making it this far. Just know that if you made it this far, then I love you. Because most people, and I can understand. A lot of people, they only really have like 5 to 10 minutes before they get bored and watch another video. So, and it takes a real hardcore fan or a real hardcore viewer to make it into videos that have a longer length like this. So yeah, whatever. Yeah, thank you so much. If you haven't checked out the last couple episodes, I highly encourage you to do so. There's probably a card on the screen that'll take you to the previous episode or the playlist of what I got. Playlist of the first 3 episodes if you haven't seen it already. Or however I intend to set it up. But either way, yeah, thank you for making it this far. Let's see, we got a few more runs to go. Oh, I forgot to make the disclaimer that I actually don't have footage of like some of the levels that I actually leveled up to. Like, I don't think you didn't see me level up from like levels 64 to 65, as well as 67. And that's actually because some of the recording footage actually got corrupted. I don't know what the hell happened. I use OBS now, just letting you know. Just like the rest of the world who makes content, PC content. I think some of the footage got either lost or maybe I just forgot to. I don't know actually. Yeah, I think honestly, because I'm trying to look for it and it's not there either. It's obviously one of 2 things. I didn't monitor my recording, so I must have maybe deleted by accident, or the file just got corrupted. Either way, it's gone. It's gone. I can't find it. But nonetheless, it doesn't really matter, right? We're trying to get to that sweet end game content anyways. So you get the gist. You get the picture of what I did here. Not much going on. Just spam the dungeons and you'll be fine. Obviously, from everyone else's guides, if you're a tank, if you're a healer, just spam dungeons, right? But if you're DPS, it's you quest while you queue up for a dungeon, right? Just because I think DPSs wait anywhere from like 15 to 20 plus minutes, while as like in comparison to a healer, I'm only waiting no more than 5 minutes, 2 to 5 minutes. Sometimes it's even less than a minute, depending on like, I remember like depending the time that I actually play, whenever the server is really active. Especially on weekends. Weekends is actually one of the highest. I've noticed that there's a lot more players that play on the weekends than the weekdays, for the obvious reasons, right? Everybody has the day off, kids are off from school and whatnot, so they feel more inclined to play for longer periods of time. So yeah, anyway, yeah, I just, it's fucking awesome. I get queue times like that. Makes me really encouraged to play, to level up other healers and see how that goes, right? Probably what I'll do. I'll probably stream it, right? The next healer that I end up leveling, I'll probably stream that journey. You guys can come with me right after this series is done, right? So maybe do something like that. I think for the most part, when I was doing this, I mostly just did Wrath Dungeons. I really enjoyed the Wrath of the Lich King dungeons. They were really fun. The boss encounters were very I wouldn't say very intense, but it was definitely a challenge, and just overall very pleasing to the eye, I guess. You know, interesting, like the way the boss looks. Definitely looks more, I guess, appealing to the kind of graphical fantasy look that I like to see in WoW, rather than the Burning Crusade dungeons. A lot of the Burning Crusade bosses actually still remind me of like the vanilla dungeons, right? It's I don't know what it is, but it really does. While you got the Wrath, you got certain bosses like the one you're seeing on screen now. It's pretty cool looking. I don't know. I never really, actually, it's funny because I never really noticed that. I never really noticed that because before 7.3.5, how we would face roll everything, you don't really have time to, you know, check out the boss, look at the boss, and just see how they designed it, right? They designed the model. But yeah, I haven't actually noticed that up until now. Anyway, just wanted to make like a quick recap of like future plans of what this series as we come to the end of this video. Let's see, I'm trying to check. Let me check how much time I got left. How much? Maybe like a few more minutes. 3 more minutes. I think this is the final dungeon that I'm showing, so we have 3 more bosses to get through. Yeah, future plans. So obviously I said numerous times in this episode that the next episode, episode 5? Is it 5? Yeah, it's 5. 5 is going to be the Karazhan edit, and of course I will update you guys on all the social media platforms when it comes out, as well as I will for this one that, you know, that you're watching right now. Yeah, so that's going to be a Karazhan edit, so that's going to be a lot of fun. I already have the song that I want to use to make the edit, and it's going to be great. I'm probably going to spec into prot, to be honest with you, just so we can do a lot more big pulls. We can do a lot of big pulls when grinding the mobs out. I don't want to kill just like 3 packs at a time, so we'll do like big pulls and whatnot. So that's going to be a fun edit, so hopefully you guys enjoy that, and as well as the future episodes. The episode after that is just going to be the Mists of Pandaria, then we're going to go into Draenor, finish up with Legion, and then do a couple Argus and Endgame episodes as well. Anyways, guys, I'm going to close it out here. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening, whatever you did. Stay tuned for more to come. And, yeah, man, I love you guys as always. I hope you're all having a very easy day. Stay tuned for more to come, as I said. And, yeah, this has been the One Man Army, Mr. Easy for Life. And I'm out. Peace!
Until you
Thanks for watching today's video, guys. It really means a lot to me. If you like what you see, then don't hesitate to hit that subscribe button below. Or better yet, hit that bell you see on the screen now in order to get notified when a new video gets uploaded. Now, all my social media links are in the description box below, and if you don't give a shit about any of that, then just go ahead and share this video with your friends, share this with your family, or even share this with your mom. Any support at all is greatly appreciated. I love you guys as always, and I hope you're all having a very easy day. Stay tuned for more to come, and this has been the One Man Army, Mr. Easy for Life, and I'm out. Peace!